What's good? Dude, my fucking stomach hurts. Holy. Games? Yeah. I'll play a couple games real quick before I get started with this shit. I'll do like, I don't know, not very many, just a few. I'm booting up. Alright. I'll just make a public lobby, just join quick. Rage bait? My Relius is disgusting, bro. The streets don't fucking know about my Relius. I beat Scrub P in the first of the 5 yesterday with my Relius. My Relius is fucking clean, bro. What did I say? What did I say? See? Marlies is gross, bro. First Relius to throw in doll pressure? Yeah, I'm kinda revolutionizing the game. I whiffed? This character's terrible. I can't believe that. I missed my fucking micro dash 5v. That sucks. I missed. You hate to see it.
The wheel of fate is turned. Level 1. Action.
Ignis goes away. I'll take it. Soka.
The wheel of fate is turned. Level 1. Action.
My backdash should get me out.
リベル2アクション
Fuck.
リベル3アクション
I didn't mean to get that backdash, that sucks. I'll do like last one. When I do need to get this shit done, I want to just get this done so I can have it uploaded.
リベル2アクションリベル3アクション
I get counter hit. Fuck. This character's trash. Bro. I'm dead as fuck. Fuck! My 2-2-V.
そこで一生寝てろ。
ラグナ
Alright, GG's. Let me fucking get this bullshit started. Lumamore, what's good? Alrighty then. So bang matchups. Let me pull up the old tier maker for this one. Where's this shit at? Bet. Chillin', learning some P4AU. Just vibing. Just got off work. Just won a fucking Fortnite lobby with some gamers. It's just some easy shit. Now I'm doing this. Probably go play more Fortnite when I'm finished. Games peak. Alright. Without further ado, I'll go ahead and get started here though. Let me open training mode just so I have that in the background so I can pull that up whenever necessary. Who's first on the list? Noel? Alright. I don't even need to use the game to show anything for this one, but I'm gonna open just in case. Alright. Let's get started. So I want to order this a little better than what it currently is. Add a couple rows. Acting like I've never typed on a computer before. Off to a great start. Do this. Row below. Alright. So let me go ahead and get started off here. I'll get to new later. That matchup's just really fucking terrible. There's not all that much she can really do. Like at all. Neutral's really unfortunate. Her offense isn't good. Her health is low. Her defensive options are lacking. She has no win con. Into this character. Just a lot of fucked up shit for her. Drive teleports are annoying. OD is annoying. None of her gimmicks really matter. risk reward's terrible. It's just bad. Basically in every way you could possibly spin it, matchup is bad for New. It might be one of the it's among some of the worst matchups in the game. Maybe. It's like, I don't know if it's 7-3, but it's definitely at least a 65-35. Noelle Vermillion. The matchup's one of these two. I'm gonna put it 55 for now, just because this matchup would be a 6-4, but Noelle's hurtbox is so shit that like half of Bang's combo structure just literally doesn't work against her, which can be really annoying. But outside of that, he does really well. Her buttons are really good, but Bang's movement and his nails can give her a pretty hard time. His drives are really strong versus a lot of her offensive sequences. His offense is fucking amazing at checking all of her defensive options, having a low 2A and having the float cancels just on demand whenever you want to do them. Really fucked up. Having 6A just be like your primary pressure reset being a low is really annoying for her to deal with too. She doesn't really like having to deal with projectiles in the middle of offense either, so nails can give her a really tough time there. Even like as far as like OD stuff goes, she doesn't have a good time. Her overdrive, like she has good OD guard cancel combos. Like she does like 5B, 5C, does like 5K, takes you to the corner, but risk reward's just really poor for her, even factoring everything else in. She just doesn't have a fun time. She's losing most game states. Once Bang runs out of nails, she can fight him in neutral pretty well, but like you're on the back foot very hard until that point, and there's no guarantee that that's even going to happen to you, or that's even going to happen to the Bang player, especially not if they're playing conservatively as they should. Yeah, even like, I mean, all of her options aren't great, but like a lot of her options that are kind of okay usually for establishing some sort of space in neutral, like her range gunshot, Bang just doesn't give a fuck about. Like if Bang does 6D into the range gunshot, she just eats shit. He gets all the way in. She eats like 2.5k, gets 4 seals. There's not much going for her in this matchup. Like I said, it's realistically it would be 6-4 if it weren't for the fact that Bang's combos just don't work on this character. So she can kind of live more interactions than most, but still not great for her. Was good? What's up, Carmine? I'm just chilling, making this shit. 9 the Phantom. So I think 9 is also a slight favor matchup. Is New Bang that ass for New? Yeah, it's one of the worst matchups in the game. It's pretty awful. I mean, it's low tier traditional zoner character versus borderline top tier ninja character who does insane damage. Does Jin do better to 9 than Bang? Bang does better. I think Jin wins slightly, but I think Bang wins a little harder. I still don't think it's a 6-4, but it's like Jin 9 is like even-ish. If there's favor, it's like slightly in Jin's favor. Whereas Bang 9 is like definitely slight Bang favor. Like no if and or but about it. His movement is really hard for her to contest. Just like keep it. His movement is really fucking obnoxious for her to deal with. Like throughout the entire match in neutral, he does not have to interact with her if he doesn't feel like it. And then when it comes to like button-to-button interactions, he has pretty solid tools for anti-airing her. Like his 2B is good, his 2A is solid, his 3C is good. His air-to-airs obviously lose if 9 just preemptively presses like crazy, but like once you condition the 9 player to chill out a little bit in the air, his JB and JC are really good. They hit pretty fucking far. She doesn't really like having to deal with him at all. Obviously, once he gets in, 9 just feels sad as fuck because her defensive options are lacking pretty hard in terms of her defense, or her offense, Bang doesn't care that much. Nine's offense isn't that great, in my personal opinion, but like Bang especially does well because whereas a character like Ragnar or Jhin or something, if 9 puts you in the corner, she's gonna press like 5x and she's gonna be so far away that your DP's not gonna reach her. The only way your DP is gonna reach her is if you're like S or Naoto. Most characters can't DP her from those ranges, whereas Bang doesn't care. Bang will press 6D, he'll teleport, he'll punish her normal, and then she'll eat like 2.5k and go in the corner and be holding an Oki situation. Risk reward is obviously terrible for her, super out of her favor. Her offense and a lot of her buttons are really weak to overdrive and just have a lot of whiff recovery. So if Bang ODs through something that she uses, she just dies. Nails are really, really strong in this matchup, not in the traditional sense of just like bullying and letting him get in for free, but he can control her movement and force her to move in very predictable arcs and very predictable like movement patterns with B nail and with D nail and stuff. And because of that, I think the neutral state is pretty Bang favor if he's on his P's and Q's and just playing well. Obviously, like I already said, the risk reward super in his favor, both in terms of like offensive and defensive stuff, and just like any neutral hit that 9 gets will not matter as much as any neutral hit that Bang gets. He'll get more corner carry, he'll do more damage, she has less health, he'll get seals, which Shibugeki is really good in this matchup. Plus, if he gets seals, then he's going to do more damage in ODs. Then if he ODs through something she does later, she's going to die. She just struggles a little bit. She can... I mean, 9 can still win. She's still 9, but this matchup is a little tricky for her, for sure. Next up is Izanami. So, I think Bang also beats this character. She, so let me break it down. In terms of like offense, defense, they're like, I'd say their offensive like power is equivalent-ish in the context of what the matchup is, because is Bang's offense like slightly worse? Probably. But at the same time, Bang's offense hurts a lot more, and Izanami has way worse offensive or like defensive responses to check his offense compared to him versus her. So once Bang gets in, she's feeling pretty bad. Whereas if Izanami gets in and she doesn't have her ribs up, Bang doesn't really give a fuck. And once she does have ribs up, you just have to weather the storm for a few seconds. And then if she goes into danger state, next hit is guess for game. You can just kill her off of anything. Even in terms of like Bang's defensive options, if she has her ribs up, Bang has pretty strong tools, because if you think about it, a lot of the time when characters DP RC into Nami, it doesn't do much for them. They kind of still are forced to hold a pressure situation, but Bang, he does 6D, he teleports, he kicks her in the back, and then he RCs. Even if she forces you to block immediately, you're out of the corner. And more often than not, you can RC and then jump away, and then all of a sudden she's stuck back to corner, ribs still up, like 50% barrier gauge, and she has to find time to dispel ribs or she goes into danger and just loses the game. Then, in terms of neutral, let me pull up the game real quick. Pop on Izanami. I'm blind? I am blind. So Bang has a really good movement to just dodge this character doing whatever she wants to do. The thing with Izanami is her neutral is really strong in the fact that she can just float around and not interact with you forever. But Bang has the same neutral playstyle of he just doesn't have to interact with you if he doesn't feel like it. So it becomes a game of chicken of who's going to go in first. And Bang has better tools to approach whenever that time does come. And if that time doesn't come, Bang can run the clock versus her very well. Like, just in general, and if she has ribs up, she can't catch him. That's really rough for her. Besides that, button for button, Bang has pretty decent interactions versus her. Obviously, her JB is really stupid, and her 2B is really dumb, but Bang isn't really like a grounded poke character in general. So you don't have to worry about 2B a whole lot, since you're typically going to be contesting her in the air whenever she's on the ground. And obviously her anti-air is good, but like Bang doesn't give a fuck about 6A anti-airs when you can just chuck nails in your face. Um, Same Freak's really good at contesting the space she likes to play in. I fucked up. JC is like the GOAT button for policing that airspace directly above him like that. This button is really, really good to hit people who are camping at the top of the screen. This button is really good versus Lychee. I mean, it's really good in general. It's a really slept on button, but it's really good especially versus Lychee, S, and Izanami, and Rachel too. But like, characters that exist in that super high up portion of the screen that most characters can't contest, Bang just hops up there and kicks the shit out of them, and they explode. IAD is good. Just Rising JC is good. And then JC is also just a god starter. Took 4k for that. Literally 40% of your health is gone. Does he invalidate slide bits with 2D? Yeah, he's pretty good at dealing with slide bits, so like... it's pretty strong. Same for stuff like that is good. If he wants to be preemptive with it, he can call her out with his own 3C, and she explodes. Like I showed you, 5D explosion is really good versus it. You can do stuff like that. She can technically beat explosion if she does it really specifically timed, but it's tough. It's not worth going for. She doesn't have a great time in neutral. I mean, her neutral is still really strong. Don't get me wrong, but he can contest it better than most characters can. Like even stuff like that, those kind of interactions are good for him. Sometimes they don't go in his favor, but sometimes they do go in his favor. So it's kind of just RPS. And like I said earlier, a favorable situation for Bang matters more in this matchup than a favorable situation for Izanami the vast majority of the time. Besides that, there are other facts of the matchup that are good, like Bang versus any character that uses projectiles to clear grounded space, to like let them in. He's strong versus, so like most characters can't interact with this air approach, but Bang does that and you eat shit. You can't block, so you just die. Same for like Bang drives relevant on defense. Yeah, I already talked about that. You can just rewind the VOD a little bit. Also didn't mention she has a lot of gaps before ribs are up. She has a lot of gaps that she kind of has to just have under pressure that she can't get rid of. Basically anything after C buttons will always have a gap. Get the hitbox overlay off. Yeah. I think overall, like I said, slight favor for Bang. She kind of struggles in a lot of aspects of the neutral. She has like good buttons that are annoying for him. She definitely wins button-to-button interactions more than she loses them, but as Bang, you're not a character who has to force button-to-button interactions. You can just use your movement and be annoying forever, and then you have good buttons to contest the airspace she likes to exist in regardless. Like, yeah, if she could just be the GOAT and press JB exactly when you try to JC her, and like maybe win outright, maybe trade, and not have to deal with just eating shit, but like, you don't want to take those odds as Izanami. You don't want to be dealing with that kind of neutral state all the time. Why is the meter set to 60? What the fuck? Yeah, I think outside of that, I'm trying to think. Slide is good whenever she has bits up because obviously she can't block. So she's on the ground and she has bits up and you slide, she just eats shit. You have 50 meter, you just RC, do 40, 50%, and then she's guessing for game. Shibugeki is pretty good in this matchup. She does have some counterplay to it because she unfloats, it counts as her going from grounded to jumping, which can be a little annoying to deal with, but like once she runs out of air actions, you just check her with Shibugeki like crazy. Another big thing is the fact that fuck. Shibugeki obviously goes through ribs, so once he gets 4 seals, he has a real defensive option on neutral, or a real defensive option as far as like a reversal super goes. Yeah, I think it's just pretty good for him overall. Not too much more to say really. It kind of just comes down to the neutral being really solid for him, which not many characters can say they have solid neutral versus Izanami. Neutral's really good, and then his risk reward kind of just fucks on her. I think this is one of those matchups where it's like people probably thought a little bit differently of it before, when the primary way most people were playing was in arcades and on like PS4 net play, but I think in the rollback era, and especially offline on PS4, it's like this character's offense, it's solid, but on float 2B is not, it's not a real mix-up. You definitely don't have to be that scared of this character's offense, and since she's not just like doing 50-50s on top of you, you can just block her out and then kill her. But yeah, pretty much does it as far as Izanami goes. Next up is Tsubaki. Tsubaki's like the mind her offense as much as her Oki. Yeah, I mean her Oki's solid. She forces you to block, but like Bang isn't a character that can not block anyways because he can't DPRC. So it's like it doesn't matter for him. At least not that much, in my opinion. Tsubaki's like 5.5. Tsubaki is pretty annoying, I won't lie. But I still think realistically this is a slight favor matchup. It could be either. I'll put it even for right now. I might change it later. She just has really good tools, standard normal guy tools, really good buttons, good movement, good, amazing pressure sequencing. She probably has the best stagger pressure out of any strike throw character in the game. She's one of like the few strike throw characters where I think her offense is good enough that her offense and her risk reward are like strong enough that she can contest him pretty well. Obviously the neutral's like slightly out of her favor, but then the offensive sequencing is like offensive and defensive interactions is like slightly her favor since she has a DP and her offense is nearly as good as his, whereas his defense is a little annoying versus her. Same for like her air buttons are really crazy versus him. Her JB especially is pretty tricky for Bang to navigate against sometimes. Bang doesn't have like a button like Ragna JC or something to contest the airspace directly in front of him. You kind of have to commit nails to preemptively stuff her jumping at you, which is just a really low reward and kind of expensive, so it can be a little tricky there. I think, like I said, I might change it to slight favor later, but let's keep it like evenish for now. I'm a big Tsubaki believer. I think this character is really strong. It's one of these two though. If I have to give a character favor, it's definitely Bang, but I think this matchup is like realistically even-ish. Lychee, another character where Bang does it really well in the neutral game. I guess I'll open the game up again. So the biggest thing for this matchup is, yeah, is Staff annoying? Sure. Staff can be annoying, but Bang has I won't say way better movement than Lychee, but he has better movement than Lychee for sure. He can keep up with her, and he can stay away from her if he feels like it. The other thing is, like, whenever Lychee tosses Staff, oh, you can't see the game? Oh, whoops. Noob streamer. So yeah, Bang has way better movement to her than her. Not way better. I already went over this whole thing. You heard a second ago. Superior movement. His buttons are worse, yes, but his buttons are still strong at contesting the spaces that matter in the air. And his 5B and 2B are decent enough on the ground to contest her whenever she doesn't have staff set. Or whenever she doesn't have staff on her, which you're not really going to be contesting her on the ground when she has staff anyways. So pretty big thing is whenever she tosses staff, Bang is good at denying its value with drive. Like, obviously you don't want to do this too predictably, or she'll just get in for free after this, but like, if you know Lychee is going to do shit like, I'm not a Lychee player, give me a second. If she knows she's going to do shit like this to just try to get in for free, really strong option to represent. Like I said earlier, Bang is really, really good at fighting against characters who abuse projectiles in neutral just because of how explosion works. It deters people from trying to use like neutral skips like this a lot. So yeah, that's part of it. Another big thing is Lychee doesn't have amazing like low crushes in neutral, so Lychee's best range poke is obviously 6B. Sometimes you're just gonna get fataled and explode doing that. Her primary anti-air of choice and like neutral space control tool is going to explode. 3C is insanely goated in this matchup. It'll cook like most staff tosses. It'll cook a lot of her neutral presses. And it's like, at the spacings like this, where it's far away, this is like safe on block. This is like -2, -3, maybe even -1 if you hit on like last active frame, so. You can just toss it out, and it's one of those things where it's like, the risk-reward, there's so little risk for Bang for just tossing this shit out at these kind of spacings, whereas Lychee has to think about it so much, and it's like, if she blocks it, whatever, if she gets hit by it, she loses 60%, and all of a sudden the game is super in your favor, and she doesn't have DP on her to DP, or she doesn't have staff on her to DP you, so not a great spot for her generally. Another big thing is that little known fact, or not little known fact, but something that people don't really think about as much, staff is a level 1 projectile, so what that means is one nail will clear staff, and then the rest will keep going. So like, I already saw this situation, I'd get a full confirm off that D nail, but like, even if I want to spend one nail, it's not an interaction you don't have to take as Lychee. It's just not great for her as far as the. I mean, the neutral game is still fine for her because she's Lychee and her neutral is really strong. But like, what this character has going for her is her neutral is really good, and Bang makes this neutral state like even, if not even slightly his favor. Which like, when the character's entire, like all of her fucking skill points are stocked into her neutral being really cracked, you don't want to have to deal with that. Because his offense is inherently better than hers, and his defense is like, their defense is pretty similar. I would say Bang's defense is slightly better, but Lychee has good defensive tools sometimes. Yeah, I don't think she likes this matchup very much. Shipugeki is also crazy in this matchup because of how much she likes to jump around in the air. really like the only thing that Lychee has in this matchup that's super good versus Bang is like her JB is pretty annoying for him to contest, and then obviously her JD is cracked, but like Bang has no reason to like run around and try to greed out and hit her as she's jumping back with staff ever. So JD is like, it doesn't allow you to play a certain neutral spacing in a certain game state, but it's also not one of those things you have to worry about too much, because it's like you just don't interact. When JD is on the table, you don't interact in that airspace. And you don't really care too much. Yeah. I think that kind of boils things down. What else is there in this matchup? Yeah, he gets big body combos on her, which is super nice. So 2D63B isn't universal. This isn't universal, this combo piece, which is really important because it lets Bang get 4 seals off anything, as long as they get to the corner, which is always important, but like it's especially important in a matchup like this, where Shibugeki matters so much. I can get that off fucking anything. Like that was a jab starter, even off like fucking JA starter. Am I blind? I'm crazy blind, holy fuck. Like literally off any starter, as long as you bring them to the corner, you will get 4 seals. And in a matchup like this, it's fucked. And Lychee, much like 9, is also... She's not super weak to overdrive guard cancel, not as much as Lychee players act like, but there are some times when you can get away with it and kill her. And like OD on wake up and OD in the middle of strings versus this character, like if you react to 6A or something, is good. And obviously, like if Bang has 4 seals, you just kill her. She's just dead. You just fucking murder her. Jane to 4 seals gotta be villainous. Yeah. I mean, he can always do it if he has 25 meter, like... That's also 4 seals, and you can do it off any starter, but you obviously have to spin the meter, which you don't necessarily want to do. Whereas this is just like, you just fucking do it for no extra resource, really. You always want to spin a nail over 25 bar, unless you only have like 1 nail left or something. So yeah, I think that pretty much justifies why I have her there. Swap the scene back over. Oh, that's the wrong fucking one. Lychee's there. I think Lambda is like... My thing is I fucking hate this character. I really don't like her, but this matchup is probably like one of these two, realistically. I don't know which, but probably like 6-4. Not much to say really. Everything that there is to say for Nu is the same for Lambda, except her pressure game is better, so that RPS, or that like offensive defensive risk reward isn't as fucked. She does a lot more damage, so risk reward's better. And then she also has 2-2D, and she has some more annoying defensive options, which makes pressuring her mid screen especially a little obnoxious. Is this liking Lambda because of Monarch or someone else? I don't know. I mean, whenever I play Monarch's Lambda, I pretty much always win our sets. I have for a while, but I still don't like her. I wouldn't say it's necessarily due to any one specific player. I just think the character archetype is cringe. I think Nu's cringe too, but Bang obviously still beats both of them. I can't factor in me thinking a character is stupid into a matchup chart. She's not even like... I don't even really lose to Lambda. It's just I think she's a poorly designed, corny character. I just don't like fighting her. It's just unfun. But yeah. Not a whole lot to say, really. Same issues as Nu, but better defensive tools, better risk reward. But generally same shit. Something she does have that's worse than Lambda, or that's worse than Nu going for her, is Nu can cancel her. Let me pull up Nu. So this is strong for Nu. The TP is still good for Bang because it's like, if she commits to anything else, she doesn't normally get a punish here. Sometimes she does, sometimes she doesn't. It kind of depends a little bit, but this is strong because, I mean, 5D shits on her still, but typically Bang's not going to be using 5D. But it's just good to have this on deck for her. Obviously, if she like commits to more Steins, or fucking whatever these are called, then she gets smoked. But she has the option to just do like singular shots and then back up and not be threatened by 60. Whereas Lambda, I can find her. Yeah. That second shot is just part of her 5D. Like, she doesn't have the option to not do that. That always comes out on block. So she always just eats this punish. There's not really much she can do about it. Like, see how both have to hit before she can special cancel it? So, anytime she presses 5D, she's at risk of just fucking exploding. And it's like... Oops. Am I terrible? What the fuck? You don't want to take that free 2.5, but at the same time... let me get a counter hit one. You really don't want to eat this either. I mean, you get the idea. That was like 4K with missing half the combo and not doing super. She's gonna fucking die. Am I terrible? Brother. Yeah, you get the picture. That's like 6K. She doesn't want to have to just eat that just for trying to throw a fireball in neutral. That should happen to you, it'd be sad. Yeah, she deserves it. You fucked. I'm forgetting my combo. It's like 6K, 6.5, maybe even 7K. Should be able to just route into double super here. Yeah, that'd be like 7K. Not a great time for her. But yeah, that interaction makes things pretty bad, and then everything else I said makes it about 6-4. There's a case for 5.5, but I don't know. I'll put it 6-4. I'll make Monarch happy. I know Monarch fucking hates this matchup. Tager. This character is so fucking cringe, man. Yeah, Bang doesn't really like the Tager matchup too much. I think everyone, like, a lot of people kind of call bullshit at first when I talk about this matchup, but I feel like good Tager players mostly agree with this assessment. Most other like good Bang players, like a lot of the Japanese Bang players, don't love this matchup, just because the issue with Tager versus Bang is there are a few things. So the first issue is Bang good at running away and forcing a lame neutral state? Yes, for sure. But he builds, or he gets like negative penalty really, really fast. And characters that move back and forth with him, he can kind of play around that. He can play with his movement enough to kind of negate that a little bit, but Tager, it's like you're gonna get negative if you keep holding 4 versus Tager. But you have to keep holding 4. And all of a sudden, as soon as you get near him, you're kind of guessing for game, because what if he just tags you with a random ass fucking button? And you try to block, and you get air unblockable? That's not very good. Other big things are, obviously Bang's offense is really bad versus a grappler character because he has so many gaps. He has like the Azrael issue of if Tager IBs, you're always just guessing on a 50-50 on yourself because so many of your strings have gaps in them. His defense is bad versus Tager because he's a guard point character and Tager's a grappler. Not much needs to be said on that. His nails are good, but an issue that nails have that doesn't matter in most matchups too much is that they have landing recovery. But what this means is that Sledge will just true punish him throwing nails in a lot of instances. Another big issue is that Tager has so much health that Bang will always run out of nails by the end of the match, and Tager's buttons are surprisingly like really good. So Tager beats Bang button to button, and Bang is going to have to play the matchup button to button, like by the end of the match, just because of the fact that he's gonna run out of nails. Yeah, all these factors together kind of just make it not very fun. I still think the fact that Bang's movement is so much better. It's not an actual losing matchup, but it's very, very annoying. Very, very unfun. Let me grab some water real quick. I'll come back and keep us going here. Alright, I'm back. So, next up is Moo. Moo's also a little rough. I don't know if it's quite as... It's probably like... XCal invited me to play BlazBlue. This is a little rough. So, I don't know if this is 6-4 or 5.5. He definitely wins. It's hard to say by how much, though. Her having 10k is really fucking bad. It doesn't feel good to have 10k versus this character at all. A lot of her buttons are pretty weak to him just pressing drive. This is one of those matchups where like Bang can kind of just YOLO drive in neutral, and it's like if it doesn't work, whatever. If it does work, she just loses. Her DP is slow, so Bang can do a lot of goofy shit on his offense, not really care about her DP too much. Same for like another big issue she has is her offense is like just not good. I'm not a believer in this character's offense. She just has no fucking mix. She's all strike throw on a character without good staggers to run scary strike throw. And she has a 5A that doesn't look anything like her throw animation, so her TRM game just fucking sucks. Yeah, her high-low is all mediocre. The 6B RC shit is like cool, I guess, but she can never do the low. She can't make it a real mix-up. You can always fuzzy block it. She can't. There's no way for her to stop that, which makes it a little whack. If it was something she could just like spam over and over and over, it'd be a little bit different. But because of the fact that it's a meter, it's a mix-up she has to spend 50 meter for. it makes it a really easy fuzzy block because it's like you know what she's gonna be doing. Just get really good at that fuzzy block timing, and then you just don't have to care. And all of a sudden, she just wastes 50-meter all the time versus you. Her neutral is good, but like I said before, Bang has a really good option. Bang's neutral is like fucking crazy. There aren't very many characters who beat Bang in the neutral game unless they have something that just negates projectiles super heavy. What else is there? Bang's buttons are good at contesting her. Like I said earlier, Bang's JC is amazing at bullying the characters that like to super jump at the top of the screen, like these two. Moo is also one of those characters. Moo will do like super jump, double jump, set two signs, and Bang will jump up to the top of the screen and counter JC her, and she'll eat 5k, and then she's guessing for game. Shibugeki is also super good versus this character. Drives are really good versus her offense. There's not... I think I probably would have put this matchup 5.5 a long time ago. I haven't played this matchup at a super high level in a long time since Arc Lancer doesn't really play like that anymore, but I think with everything I've discovered for Bang at this point, and how I know this character functions, I feel like this matchup's like 6-4. There's too much going against her in this matchup in terms of like every state of the game for it to be any better, I feel. What's next? Jubei, kind of a nothing burger character, man. He's like, I don't know, I guess he's got an instant overhead. He's kind of fast, but like, who cares? Bang definitely beats him. I don't know if I'd quantify it as either of these two, though. It's just like he loses the matchup for sure. To some degree. I feel like there's not much to say about this character. He's just a Shoto without a DP. And he trades that for a little bit extra movement speed. But not having that DP is pretty abysmal. Does not have a fun time because of that. Even though he's always crouching, Bang can still combo him while he's standing with 6C, so that's not like a factor in the matchup. Even though he's so small and fast, I mean, it doesn't really matter too much. The characters that are... The only time that Bang cares if a character's fast is if they're, like, faster than him. And Jubei's not faster than him, so it doesn't matter. Jubei is fast in the context of BlazBlue, but, like, versus Bang, it's like you can bully him still. Just like you can bully Ragnar, Jinnard, whoever else with your speed. His JB is really good, and his JC is also pretty good. I'll give him good air buttons, but it's just not enough. The risk reward is also really terrible in this matchup. Not even because like Bang gets crazy combos on Jubei. It's just because of the fact that Jubei just does really low damage. So yeah, overall, this one might be a 6-4. My mind could be changed on this one though, but it's like maybe 6-4-ish. Azriel, like an even. I know Azriel players think this matchup is like here for some reason, but I don't see it. I think the risk reward is even-ish. It's annoying because both characters can just like all of a sudden do 50% to each other, so it's like very volatile all the time, but both characters can kill each other. Azriel's anti-airs are a little annoying for Bang to deal with, but at the same time you have nails, and it's like, yeah, you're RPSing with Growler, but it's not a good RPS that Azriel's taking. If you're using nails in a way that he has to guess on when he's gonna Growler, or like press JA or 5B or something, he's not having a fun time. You have a lot of air stalls as well to just like negate both. And it's like, if he guesses wrong on a Growler, all of a sudden he's eating a counter hit from Bang. He just loses. Like, if he guesses wrong on a Growler and you do an empty jump, you just get a free 3C and you just eat 6k and dies. His pressure is good versus Bang drives because a lot of his normals hit behind him, and the way that his staggers work, he just ends up kind of auto-correcting and hitting teleport, but it's whatever. It's like, are Bang's defensive tools good versus him? They're not great. But is Azriel's pressure like so scary that you were forced to use them? Not really, so not that big of a deal. It is a little annoying that you can't really abuse overdrive versus him because of his 5A and 5B. But like, it having to play a little bit more honest isn't the end of the world. I think Bang still wins the neutral really hard. I think his offense is better than Azriel's. There's even a case for this matchup to be here, to be honest. But I'll put it here just to appease the Azriel players a little bit. I'll go ahead and move on though. I feel like Azriel's not a super complex character to talk too much about. S. I think Bang beats her. This is another one of those matchups where it's like I said before, JC is the fucking killer of characters who like a super jump into the top of the air and throw fireballs and stuff. So JC kicks the shit out of her. She explodes. She has low health. Drives are decent versus her offense. Her DP's on the slower end, so he can safe jab it. Neutral is like, does she win neutral versus Bang? Not necessarily. She's one of the characters who fights him in neutral very well. There's even an argument that she has slight favor in the neutral game, but the risk-reward is so skewed, and he fights her so well in neutral compared to most characters who have skewed risk-reward versus her that it doesn't matter enough. Yeah, I think that's kind of just what it boils down to, really. I feel like most of the normal guy characters, it's not all that complicated. It just boils down to, can you match his offense? Like, can you match the offensive, defensive risk-reward and threat? And can you contest him in neutral well? Tsubaki can kind of do both, which is why she's here. Which, she's still debatable to be like here, but she's better than S for him for sure. S cannot contest him in that offensive, defensive area of the game, and she does not have the risk reward to box him like that. She does really well in neutral, but Bang, like, she does well in neutral in the context of how most characters do in neutral versus Bang. But at the same time, Bang does really well in neutral versus S compared to how like a character like Ragnar or Jin or something does versus her in neutral. Like an even-ish neutral state, which she doesn't want to have to deal with. It's like the same shit as Lychee. When you have a character who all their fucking points are put into how good their neutral is and how consistent their neutral is, whenever they have to deal with a near even neutral state, they're having a really bad time because they're like, this is my whole character identity. This character just does the same shit, but they also have other bigger strengths. I think that's pretty much boils down to S. I hit the Coco. I think Coco is a little rough. A little on the rougher end for sure. So the big thing with this matchup is grabs are really annoying for characters that have to jump a lot, just because of how much they affect air movement just on any jump arc. It's why Jin really hates this matchup too, because it's like, if you can't... I think Ragna probably does... Ragna has low health, so it's worse overall in a lot of aspects, but like, Ragna plays the neutral better than like Bang or Jin versus Coco, just because he can play the ground game pretty solidly. He has to worry about 3C and 5C, but that's better than like being forced to jump into grabs. So that's pretty annoying. The fact that grabs just make his neutral really hard to like operate with. Her 2-2B is pretty annoying for Bang because it makes it so that like the entire time 2-2B is set, if Bang does an IED nail approach, if he approaches with nails, if he spins nails at all, he's not going to get any value out of that, because once he gets in, she's going to block the nails, and then 2-2B is going to activate, and she's going to take her turn. So that existing as a deterrent for him to bully his way in with his projectiles is a little tricky to deal with. You can just like play passive, but then it's like, then you're stuck in the game of you're playing too passive, you're letting her build up grabs, and that kind of just snowballs back and forth, and it's not a good time. The offense defense is, I mean, Coco's Coco. Not much to say there, really. Like, obviously, her set play is better than Bang's offense, but Bang can definitely one-turn her and just get in and kill her because her defensive options are lacking. The reason why this matchup isn't, like, super bad is just because she has low health, and she also gets big body combos done to her, and also Shippugeki's pretty decent versus this character in this matchup. Also 3C is surprisingly, like, it's not amazing, but 3C can definitely catch her sometimes when she's trying to set shit from full screen. Same for, like, drive explosion into her projectiles can be okay. Coco gets big body combos. Yeah, it's funny. Coco gets you can do big body combos versus Coco, but you can't do them versus Susan or Tiger. It's really whack. The way that Bang's like quote unquote big body combos work is really funky. Depends on like horizontal hurt boxes more than vertical stuff. Yeah, it's goofy. Um, but yeah, not too much to say there. I think this matchup would be like here if it weren't for the fact that Super Ball just makes game state so bricked. Because it's like, if Coco didn't have Super Ball to just like snowball game super hard whenever she gets 50, it'd be like, yeah, a lot of these interactions suck, but overall Bang is still Bang. The risk reward still shakes out in his favor because he has so much health, even though she does similar damage. But because she has Super Ball and she can just get that one hit with 50 meter in the game, it pushes it out of that evenish area and pushes it to a real disadvantage matchup. Ragna, say about 5.5. You could even argue 6.4, but I think it's 5.5. Ragna contests Bang in neutral really well. His grounded options are kind of annoying for Bang to deal with. Same for like, he loses the air-to-air game versus Bang, for sure, but his JA can also be really difficult to contest. So Bang has to be very careful with how he approaches the air-to-air game versus Ragna. Protagonist DP is goated on defense. Ragna's offense is pretty solid at checking drives. A lot of it is like Ragna in terms of interaction does really well versus a lot of what Bang is doing. It just comes down to the risk reward sucks. If Ragna was like a 10.5k character, this matchup might be even, but he's not, so he just dies. He also gets big body combos done to him, so it's also really bad. Like if you get hit by a standing 5B as Ragna in the Bang matchup, you're eating literally 45%. Let me pull up the game. Like literally imagine you're playing round start, and you do dash 5B, and I walk back, and I whiff punish you. Oh my god, I'm terrible. I was literally 44% of your life bar, and I got 4 seals off of it. It's just, the risk reward is just too fucked. I could do that. I could do that combo, and then I could command grab you, and the round is over. It's just, it's rough. It's rough how little HP he has. Yeah, just not a good time in terms of any of that shit. Same for like, Overdrive. I mean, Overdrive is good versus Ragna offense, don't get me wrong, but like, Bang's Overdrive, in terms of his Overdrive neutral, is kind of weak versus Ragna. I don't think his Overdrive neutral is amazing in general, but especially versus Ragna, it's not that good. But the risk reward is so fucked that this is one of those matchups that I just pop it anyways a lot of the time. Because like if I get one hit, you're dead. Like it doesn't matter. And then he's dead here off this. Like not a good time. Just not a good time. The risk reward is less skewed to be even, but the risk reward is just giga skewed. It's just actually insane how poor the risk reward for him is in this matchup. Like a good Ragnar round versus Bang will make the matchup look like it's even, but then a bad Ragnar round will literally make it look like, why the fuck would you ever pick this character? Jhin, Jin's a little on the trickier end for Bang. I don't think it's an actual bad matchup, but it's in the 5-5 but tricky category, just because he has really good options to deal with a lot of Bang shenanigans. So let me pull up his character. there's a good amount of shit that that Jin has that makes Bang's life a little difficult sometimes. First off, Bang's anti-air is really poor. So like, you don't have great options to deal with his free pressure game. Which I fucked up that timing, but like if he wanted to, he could just press that J2C a little bit better and then just punish me outright, counter hit. I explode, eat a shit ton of damage, blah 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 blah. That isn't fun to deal with. Another aspect of the matchup that isn't fun to deal with is like, obviously he can just jump. Or aspect of his pressure structure that's annoying is he can just jump there. I feel like it's less obvious when he's gonna reset his turn compared to some of the other Shoto characters. It's like you can't fuzzy drive mash versus Jin, or fuzzy mash versus Jin as well as you can versus like say Ragna or maybe Naoto or something. 6A2 just existing. Get counter hit trying to mash 60, you explode. Which, like, yeah, that's kind of your fault for being stupid, but I feel like Jin just uses that overhead as almost a pressure reset tool compared to other characters who use overheads, like, a lot of the time, just so... You gotta be thinking about it as the Bang player. Another big thing... That interaction is terrible. Wuki is godlike versus like air projectile spam like that. His 2C is really good at hitting Bang in areas of the screen he doesn't want to get caught in. His JB is obviously like just really good. Just a really good button to police airspace with. Same for like his JC is really strong. It just hits an area of the screen that Bang doesn't really like to have to contest with. I would try to press JB and he presses his JC better, then I explode. Which, like, if any character presses their button better, then yeah, I explode. But his JC is essentially just my JB with no hitbox or no hurtbox on it. This button is good. This button is slept on, really solid normal, but like. It's not this button, for sure. What else about this matchup is a little tricky? Oh yeah, Jin just having the OD cash out that he does is annoying. Because Jin loses the risk reward game, but not by much. Because it's like, yeah, does Bang do more damage on average? For sure. Does Bang have similar OD cash out? Yeah. But Jin's OD cash out is more easily accessible because all you need is 50 meter realistically, and then you're just killing people. So yeah, I think the risk reward is like not as fucked as other Shotos have it, and Jin has really surprisingly solid tools in the neutral game, and all that combines to just kind of make Bang have a little bit of an annoying time. But it's still like, Bang is still Bang. Risk reward and the movement and the nails and everything are still goated. It's just Jin can contest a little bit better than most, but I don't think it's enough to actually make it a disadvantage matchup. OD combos are messed up with Jin. Yeah, his OD combos are pretty fucking ridiculous. But yeah, that kind of sums that one up. Not too complicated. Simple character, so like simple explanation. He just does better than a lot of other characters in those aspects. Like I said earlier, it's like what makes a Shoto character actually be able to do well against Bang is they need to contest the neutral well, and they need to be able to make offensive risk reward, like offensive defensive risk reward, like be solid. And Jin does both of those things. And unlike pretty much any other Shoto, the offensive defensive risk reward is like in Jin's favor, I would say, because he's amazing at checking Bang's defensive tools, whereas Bang is like, I mean, Jin doesn't have the best DP ever, but he still has a DP. He still has good like options to mash with it, shit. He has a really good fuzzy jump because of his J2C. So Bang kind of struggles to check all of Jin's defensive rotation compared to how easily Bang shuts down, or Jin shuts down Bang drives. Move on to the next. Hibiki? Low key, I don't know. I haven't had a good Hibiki in North America for a long time. I used to play Raccoon a lot, and she was really strong in my opinion. I think she was the best Hibiki like we had, period, in the States. Maybe not better than Elion, but she's really good. But I haven't played her in a long time, and whenever I did play her, I was a lot worse as a player because this was like 2-3 years ago. So I don't know. The risk reward is like it's the same Shoto shit as usual. He contests Bang in neutral pretty solidly, but he doesn't contest Bang in neutral as well as this character or this character or this character. And then as far as risk reward goes, I stream every so often, every once in a while. As far as risk reward goes, Bang definitely beats him out in risk reward, but Hibiki does solid damage, and Hibiki has good OD cash out. Hibiki's DP is good. He has good mash options, etc., etc. So it's like, eh. I think this matchup is like, he matches the risk reward a lot better than Ragna does, but he does a little bit worse in the neutral states than him. There's a case for this matchup being even, but I'll put it at like the very bottom of the slight favorite tier. Hazama, this matchup kind of sucks for Hazama. So the funny thing about this matchup is it boils down to the thing that I've hammered home over and over with these projectile neutral characters, and it's the fact that if you need to get in, if you get in with projectiles, if you're neutral, like, if the reason you're neutral is strong because of a strong projectile game and you use it to bully your way in, you just eat shit versus this character. Oh my god, I'm terrible. You just eat shit versus this character because this happens to you. This happens to you once and you lose the game. This is not hard to do. It's not hard to do at all. And if I think they're going to try to bait it somehow, I can just fucking go away and dodge the bait. Or I can just no cancel and chill. Like, this is such a fucked up interaction to have to deal with for these characters that want to get in with projectiles that, like, there's just not much more to say. It's like, what do you do? Your entire game plan is dictated around, like, yeah, you get to bully every other character in the game with your insane projectile neutral and get in for free all the time, but Bang just doesn't give a fuck. He guard points it, he explodes, you get put in recovery as you're dashing towards him, and then you eat a fatal counter, and you eat 5k, and you lose. Yeah. Same thing for, like, the way Hazama's strike throw is structured. Bang has really good options into it. Like, the fuck, what's his stance input? That's it. Whoops. JD beats all of his stance follow-ups out of this. Which I mean, like, yeah, every character can fuzzy jump, but most characters, they fuzzy jump, then they gotta hold a pressure sequence after blocking, like, the overhead, or they don't get, like, an amazing punish off the low whiffing, but nah. He just gets a punish every time here, unless he does DP immediately, or does, like, something like that. He doesn't really have any other option. Another thing about this matchup that's annoying for Hazama is Shibugeki is good just because of how much Hazama likes to play in the air. Hazama does good damage, but Bang just does more damage, and he has a little bit more health, so the risk reward's not in his favor. Bang's overdrive is literally just Hazama's overdrive, but better. Like if we're being realistic, I'll give the benefit of the doubt to Hazama and say Hazama's neutral in overdrive is obviously like way better than Bang's, but you're not popping either of these overdrives in neutral to rob. You're popping them on offense or on defense to try to rob someone through mix-ups, and Hazama's mix-ups here are just not as good. Chain cross-up is just not as good as whatever bullshit Bang is doing when he pops Ruin Kazan. The damage isn't as high either. You know why most Hazama combos drop on Bang? I got no idea, but that's mad funny. I'm trying to think of what else. There's not too much more to say, really. It's just those things combined to make this matchup suck. And then, like I said, drives are good versus this character just because he likes to do staggers a lot. It's good versus stance, but like even versus Hazama's just regular ass stagger pressure. You're dead. You're dead. I don't even have to IB this 5B. Like, not a fun time. Not a fun time if you play Hazama. If you ask most Hazama players, they'll agree that this matchup is really rough. Other things that are annoying in the matchup are like, it's not like the only thing Bang has in neutral is drive. Like, is drive annoying to deal with? Yeah, for sure. But Bang also has the movement to make Hazama's life really, really miserable, trying to catch him, trying to interact with him. Same for like, look how much, I want y'all to look how much space that B-Nail just occupies on the screen, just from me throwing it and leaving it alone. This entire arc, like my mouse, y'all can see my mouse, right? So I throw B-Nail, it occupies this entire area of the screen, it covers this zone, it bounces up, and then it covers this entire zone. I'm effectively covering half the screen in bullshit that Hazama just can't move through. For like a whole last second and a half, 2 seconds. He just has to sit there and look at that and hold that. It's only one nail. So I throw that, and all of a sudden Hazama's like, okay, I can't chain anywhere because I'm going to get tagged by the B-Nail or the explosion, or both. And if the Bang is really nasty, he's going to confirm off the B-Nail explosion counter hit, and I'm going to get put in the corner from anywhere on the screen. So that shit's annoying. Obviously, like, as any character who likes to kind of throw projectiles around and shit, you just toss out 3C sometimes, and if you catch 3C, he explodes. This is a really funny interaction. So 3C will always beat the dive kick. Hazama uses this to scramble in a lot of situations. Bang can just call it out and kill him. I just fucked up my combo, but that's like 5k, 5.5k. Yeah, not a fun matchup for Hazama overall. There's a case that it's like 5.5 because I do think that Hazama's neutral is still better than Bang's overall, but it's like Hazama wins the neutral game slightly, and he loses everywhere else. So it's not a fun time. What else? Oh yeah, Bang gets big body combos on Hazama, so 2d6 to 3b works. You always get 4 seals, which matters a lot because Shibugeki is good in this matchup. One gimmick that Hazama has that's nice for him is that will beat his super. But like, that doesn't matter enough, really. Like, yeah, that's nice to have, but every character, if they're really nice with it, can just jump in Falling Button. Or like jump in Nightmare Edge, or jump in fucking do whatever. Like, whoops. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to time that, but you know the deal. He just like jump, do the dive kick, and smoke me there too. Yeah, not much more to say really. Just not a fun time for Hazama. He has a surprising amount of recovery in a lot of instances where he tosses chains or he does something like this. He's gonna... Most characters can't really like jump over this and punish him well. Like that's not a real punish. But this is a punish. Same for like most characters can't do anything about this. Like realistically no character can like contest that super well. Ben can though. Just fucking explode. He does not care. Same for like those almost typical reversal baits. You just die. Just not a fun time for this character, all in all. He does not like this matchup, not one bit. I'll go ahead and hit the next. Bullet. Fucking hate this character, so... this matchup could be slight Bang favor, but I just have too much hate in my heart to admit that. And also, she has a lot going for her in this matchup. So her drives are just annoying. Her buttons beat his really well. She matches the risk reward phenomenally. She has better risk reward than him, I'd even go as far as to say. She's a command grab character, so his defensive like tools can be tricky to use. He can't really use his overdrive versus her very well because she just presses the D button and it kind of invalidates his OD to a pretty large degree. What else is there? Since she has such amazing risk reward versus him, she's not that scared to just fucking YOLO, send DP and 720 and stuff. She can kind of just thug it out and be risky on her defense, and it's like whatever, it doesn't matter. Yeah, not too much more to say though. She's just annoying. I think overall the neutral still makes it like not a bad matchup. Or his movement, I should say, but it's still very annoying. And her drives are super fucking obnoxious for this character to deal with. And not having an anti-air at all versus this character is pretty rough too. Her buttons, like I said, are really good. 2B is crazy. Her 5B is super slept on. Her air normals are all very slept on. Her jabs are really good. Her anti-air is really good. All of her buttons are solid. Yeah, not too much more to say though. Let me hit platinum. This character is also an annoying matchup, but I think it's more in the favored department for Bang just because of how good the risk reward is and the fact that she doesn't have like a crazy reversal option, but her offense is strong. It's just not quite as good as Bang's. Her neutral is strong, but it's not quite as strong as Bang's. She does a lot of damage, but she just doesn't do quite as much as Bang. She's like a good character, but she's literally like, she plays like Bang light in a lot of ways. So naturally, she kind of loses the matchup because of that. If she gets going and gets certain items, things can be really fucking annoying, but generally it's not too fucked. Not too awful. Go ahead and hit Makoto next. Makoto is like... I think this character is literally bottom 1. I just think she's really bad. You could argue 5.5, but I think it's more like a 6.4 angle. Neutral, she just gets dog walked because she doesn't have very good buttons. She has like her JB is good, and her 5B is decent, but it's not anywhere good enough. You're good enough to contest how amazing Bang's neutral is. Makoto worse than Terumi? Yeah, I think so. I think those two are like the bottom tier. I don't think I think Nu is bad, but I think Nu has relevant matchups and that kind of keeps her above those two characters. But I think those two are just like in their own tier. You could argue either or, and it's kind of semantics to say which of the two is worse than the other, but they're both bad. Like very similar levels of bad in my opinion. But yeah, her neutral, she just gets shit on. Her defense, I mean, her defense is okay. She has a decent amount of options to rotate, but it's like It just doesn't save you enough because of how bad the neutral is, and her offense is also okay, but it's like, once again, it's not good enough to warrant like how fucked up the neutral is and how fucked up the risk reward ends up being. So yeah, I think it kind of just ends up there. It's also not a super. It's another one of those matchups where it's not super complicated because she's a simple character. She just has bad risk reward, has bad neutral. Offense and defense isn't good enough to offset any of that stuff. Valk. This one is pretty fucking obnoxious. So kind of a lot to go over with this matchup. This matchup is like simultaneously really complex and also really simple. This matchup is basically whoever gets in first is probably going to win the game. Because Bang has really solid defensive tools. I won't say solid defensive tools versus Valk. They're better than a lot of characters, but Valk doesn't really have much of anything. If Bang gets in versus Valk's having a really like hard time unless he guesses right on like a reversal super or a counter assault. Whereas if Valk gets in against Bang, his mix-up is like way more potent and way scarier, but Bang just has to be right on one drive press on one gap, and then Valk kind of eats shit. And due to the nature of Bang's like reversals being guard points, you can't OS them. Valk has to like intentionally press a button and then wait and then 4D as a Gatling. You can't like do something and then whiff a button and then 4D because he's gonna get punished. So he has to intentionally like stop in the middle of what he's doing and just wait and see what happens. And then if he does that, you can just mash on him. And obviously you can't block in wolf form, so it's like in the situations where that happens, if you press 6D or something, and he does like, say he's doing wolf staggers and he does like wolf 5A, you teleport on the first one, he does the second one, even if he recovers in time, he's probably going to eat the 60 kick. It's not super fun to him to deal with Bang's offensive tool or defensive tools. I was taking a sip of water, sorry. I will say that Valk probably wins the neutral game. Just because, like I said earlier, a character being fast doesn't really matter a ton to Bang unless they're actually faster than him. Which Valk and Tao are the only two characters that are actually like concretely quicker than him in a very like obvious way. He has to give all the agency of neutral to Valk, and Valk doesn't really have to interact with Nails super heavily. So what this means is basically like Bang's biggest strength being his ability to just dominate the pace of neutral isn't super present in this matchup. A lot of this matchup is just playing around and hoping that Valk enters a position where you can snipe him with a nail, like really close range, snipe him with a nail, and then take an advantage off of it. Or like try to preemptively press like JB or JC when you think he's gonna advance forward. But you can't dominate the neutral like you can versus most characters. And like just like that's a really big issue for a character like Lychee or a character like S, where it's like a lot of their character strength is built into this fact that they're good at the neutral. Bang has more going for him than those two outside of neutral, but it's still a lot of his character power, and if you can take that away from him, it's not a fun time. It's not something that he likes having to deal with. Another big thing is that since he doesn't have an anti-air, he really struggles to deal with Valk just like going apeshit and doing like wolf cannon at you all the time, which is kind of just fucking annoying. Yeah, that's all there really is to say about that one, though. I'd say. Next up is Susan. I think Susan's another character who Bang has slight advantage over. The risk reward is like, yeah, definitely Bang, or it's definitely like slight Susan favor, or even probably slight Susan favor more realistically. But once again, when it comes to the more standard normal characters, it's like, can you make the offensive risk reward matter? Yeah, he can make the risk reward in terms of just like when he gets his hits matter, but Bang's offense versus Susan's offense is way, way, way scarier. Plus, if Susan doesn't have DP, he just can't interact with Bang offense. If Bang gets in and Susan doesn't have DP, he has to just like burn OD or hope that he gets counter assault before he dies. Like he can't deal with this character's offense. He really can't contest it very well at all. He has a very, very tough time getting out of Bang pressure. especially if you get a chance to like set bumper or something, it's kind of just curtains for this character. Once he gets DP, this matchup becomes like even, if not even slight Susan favor. But before he gets DP, matchup's like 6-4. And besides that, Susan has really strong air normals. That can be tricky for Bang to deal with, but Susan's movement is so shit, and Bang's movement is so goated, and nails are so annoying versus a character this big that, like, even with that factored in, Susan loses the neutral. He doesn't lose it hard. His buttons being so crazy allows him to contest Bang at neutral to a decent degree still, but it's not enough. It's not enough for him to actually win the neutral or even go like evenish in the neutral. But yeah, that one's pretty much that. Rachel, I also think Bang beats this character slightly. This matchup is kind of a weird one to rate. So Bang's movement in this matchup is phenomenal. Him having the movement he does, and him having 3C as a tool, super, super good versus Rachel. Him having nails is also really, really strong versus Rachel. Rachel's a character where her neutral is her biggest selling point, but she obviously has like massive, massive strengths and crazy good risk reward. But I still think that Bang wins the neutral overall versus this character. He has good air buttons to contest her if she's super high in the air with JB and JC. Even his JA is better than average. Nails are super good at dealing with her when she's on the ground or if she's like in medium height air spaces trying to throw projectiles. Drives and drive teleports, like I showed with the robots, are also really good versus Rachel's zoning. Having a double air dash is a really good versus Rachel, just because of the way that you can abuse that kind of movement into her Lobelias and shit. Like, a lot of people aren't very good at moving into Rachel, but something that's really strong versus that character is like IBing her projectiles in the air, and then air dashing, like IBing her projectiles in the air, and then continuing to just take some kind of aggressive air movement, or IBing them on the ground and continue to run forward. Bang's good run speed, all those extra air actions, and nails just make that strategy really, really strong and really potent. If she gets in, no character is having a fun time when Rachel gets in, but Bang has decent responses versus her. If you've seen my Rachel video that I did like a month ago, you'll know some of what I'm talking about. Because he can do shit like if there's a 1 frame gap in pressure, you can do 60 and that side swaps and takes the corner from her. If she does like lightning rod pop, he can press 5D and explode, or 5D and cross her up. RPS with her a little bit, try to take his turn back. If she does like if she does very specifically spaced like instant overheads, he can 3C under it and cook her. Same for like Rachel isn't weak to ODR, but Rachel can definitely be ODR'd through sometimes. And Bang just being the character that he is, ODR just matters more for him compared to most characters. Shibugeki is super crazy and neutral in this matchup, just due to the nature of her being a character that likes to exist in the air and float around a lot. What else is there? I feel like that's it as far as like why he's good in her neutral and her offense, but I mean he's not good in her offense. Her offense is still fucked, but why he can contest her offense better than a lot of characters. But then even as far as like his offense versus her goes, so one thing that I haven't talked about too much regarding Bang's offense is, for one, his 2B is amazing at catching backdashes and stuff. His 2B is like effectively Ragna 5B in terms of like how good it is at catching backdashes. That's why characters like her and her don't have amazing defense versus him, even mid-screen, because if he just does like slight delay meaty 2B, they're eating a standing 2B, like regular hit, and like I showed on Ragna earlier, that's like 4.4k. You don't want to just eat that off rip. You do not want to eat that shit at all. So that's not fun for her to deal with. The other thing is, like, if you don't have a DP, if you have a DP, defending versus Bang is kind of not that hard. His offense isn't too scary. But if you don't have a DP, Bang's offense is really, really tricky to get him the fuck off of you, just because the reverse beat On 6A 5B is really obnoxious. He has jump cancels on like fucking everything. Jump cancel nail is ridiculous. You can just no cancel and then continuous pressure all the time off anything. He has scary staggers. If you don't have a DP, his staggers are scary just because of how tight he can keep his shit. All of his counter hits do crazy damage. He always has a command grab to just lever it, like slip in whenever he feels like. He has like 18 billion overheads that he's constantly hammering over you with. His like ability to mental stack you is really really high. His throw does like 4K, so you always gotta watch out for regular throw. It's just there's a lot of shit to look out for. He's really good at being sticky if you don't have a DP to force him to get off of you. Yeah, like I said, he also gets big body combos on Rachel. So he always gets Shibugeki, always gets 4 seals if he puts her in the corner. Yeah, not too much more to say on that one really. Just doesn't have a fun time. Say Hakumen is slight disfavor for Bang. The reason being, like I mentioned earlier, the matchups that Bang's typically going to struggle in are the characters that just deal with projectiles really well. And one of Hakumen's main selling points is the fact that he cuts projectiles and his buttons are really solid. So you play against this character who he has better buttons than you, and said buttons just for being pressed will beat out your projectile game. You kind of just have to abuse only the fact that you have superior movement to him in neutral. That's just not enough to make it a consistently favored neutral state. And then, is Bang's offense better than Hakumen's offense? Yeah, for sure. But at the same time, Hakumen can match him in risk reward, if not outright, just do more damage than him in a lot of instances. Same for like, Bang's offense is good into Hakumen because he does a lot of high-low and he has to guess on parries, like in a pretty obnoxious way. But at the same time, if Hakumen's right, then Bang's eating a lot of damage. He's getting sideswapped and he's getting put into a situation he doesn't want to deal with. Same for like, Bang doesn't really like dealing with Inma, like the shoulder tackle, just because of he doesn't like dealing with Inma or 3C because of the way that he has to play his neutral to avoid getting his projectiles cut all the time. He has to play into those. He has to just play in a way that's really obnoxious for him. Don't think you can just zip around anyway and cutting it just resets it to even. Nah, because the deal is that I don't have infinite fire. It would be different if I just had infinite fireballs and it was like, you know what, I can just throw my fireballs all the time and it's fine, it's no big deal. But it's like, if you cut my fireball, I'm out. I'm out of that nail for the rest of the round. That's a resource that I will never get back as you continuously gain your resource just for existing on the screen. Say if it's an expensive one like D-nail, and my D-nail gets cut, that's an entire fourth of my resource that's just gone. Whereas Hakumen just continues to build his. Same for like, doesn't even matter too much if I get Shibugeki in this matchup because he can just Hotaru through it, and he never really has to think about it too much unless he literally has like no Magatama, which is pretty rare to happen in my opinion. Yeah, I think that kind of sums it up nicely. It's just a neutral is not great. The resource game isn't great. The risk reward isn't amazing. Offense defense, Bang probably still overall has better like offensive defensive interactions, but that's not enough to save it from being slight disfavor. I don't think this is a 6-4. I definitely think it's like a 4.5, 5.5, but I do think that it's losing. Doesn't Hakumen get a star for cutting? Yeah, he does. He gets a star or two for cutting, yeah. That's another annoying thing. But yeah, that sums that one up pretty well. So look at A Mercury. So this character is another annoying one that I think is still probably winning overall. So her neutral is like really obnoxious to deal with because her JB and JC and her jump arc are like those two buttons are crazy. Her jump arc is really good. Her dive kicks are annoying to contest. She's like spazzing out in the neutral game, and it's hard to interact with her. But I still think Bang's superior movement and nails make it to where it's like, is it annoying to interact with Celica? Absolutely. Do you win your interactions versus Celica more often than not? Probably. It might even be an even neutral state, because I think her neutral, while not necessarily better than this character, like this character or something, though just the way she pilots her neutral kind of plays into Bang's weakness of not having an anti-air, and his weakness of having a little bit of committal air normals, I'd say. They're good, but they're committal. So the way she plays neutral kind of plays better into those two aspects of his kit than some of the other characters. But ultimately, it doesn't matter enough to save it from being a disadvantaged matchup for her, because she has 10k, she eats big body combos, she gets hit, she loses the game, she doesn't have a real DP, her offense sucks ass. Just neutral's all she's got, really. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for that one. Not too much more to say, really. Relius, I think it'd be funny rage bait to just put this in like slight favor, just fuck with Dawn, but it's probably like evenish. It's even, and if I have to assign a character slight favor, it's slight Relius favor, but it's slight Bang favor, but it's kind of how all the characters in this. Let me do this. That makes me feel a lot better. So Relius is like a 5-5 matchup, but it's like a capital 5 lowercase 5. The capital 5 for Bang. These matchups are the opposite. I think the neutral game is Relius has really good tools to contest Bang in neutral just because of how good the doll is at denying nails. But at the same time, Relius struggles to contest characters that have really horizontal air normals. And Bang has his JB and his JC, which are just fucking goated at doing that. Plus, Bang's movement is like, Relius will never, ever, ever catch this character if Bang doesn't want him to catch him. He legit just won't. So that's another really big strength that Bang has in the matchup. And as far as the neutral game goes, I think the neutral game is like overall slight Bang favor, but Relius contests him pretty well compared to a lot of characters. Risk reward, not much needs to be said. Bang does way more damage than this character. Relius also eats big body combos. He has less health, etc., etc. I think as far as offense defense goes, I think Relius has more stable offense and his turns last longer and he can keep the pressure up for longer, but it's like you're just doing fucking empty 2B or delay IAD or delay air dash JB. Like, who cares? Block him out. He loses. Whereas Bang's offense is a lot more fucked up. You know what? I'm gonna do this actually. Fuck it, dude. I think the offense defense is just too skewed. I think if Relius had a scarier offensive structure, like a real puppet character like Carl or something, it would be different. But Relius's mix-up just isn't potent enough to like create that that like gap in risk reward for their turn mattering so much more than mine. It's just not enough. As far as Relius defense goes, I think he has pretty shit defensive tools. Ledley doll action is cool, but he can only do that if the doll's already out, and I just start contesting him and pressuring him in neutral, and it's like that doesn't happen too often really. Because if doll is out and you're on Bang, you know what you do? You stand on the other side of the screen for 40 seconds until Ignis dies, and it's like he can't ever catch you, so he can't stop you from doing this. And as soon as he puts Ignis away, you just start running at him, and he shits his pants. It's like not too much for him to do, really. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of it. I think even as far as like dual BIOS goes, he's still just doing fucking empty 2B delay air dash. Just doing it 3 or 4 times in a row. Who cares, man? Same for like Bang. RPS has dual BIOS really well because he can do 6D. He can do fucking Ashura. into 60 on the Clash cancel. You can do Shipugeki. You can do Ashura Clash cancel Shipugeki if he wants to be an asshole. You can do a lot of stuff. He has a lot of really good options. His backdash is also like mid-screen. You can just get out. Um, yeah. I wasn't gonna put this matchup in slight favor, but like, I think after just thinking about it more, I think Bang does have slight favor in this matchup. Next up is Amane. This matchup sucks. Matchup sucks for Amane. So a funny thing about Amane, a little fun fact, he has no overheads except for his JA. So Bang can anti-air this character with any drive he wants at any point in time. Another big fact and big issue for Amane is that basically everything he does has crazy recovery. So Bang can literally just mash the fuck out of the drive button and teleport and punish Amane for like anything he does ever. Another big thing about Amane is a lot of his pressure has a ton of gaps. This isn't a huge deal for RPSing against DPs because it's like, if they whiff a DP, you get a punish. But if Bang whiffs a drive, he has a good amount of recovery, but not enough for Amane to consistently punish him like he can at DP. Same for like, he has a lot of extended hurt boxes, whereas Bang just chucks nails, and a nail will tag him, throwing like normals out, just cook him. Then if Bang gets in the matchup, Amane just loses. His defense is terrible. So the neutral isn't very good for Amane. Amane's offense is literally cosmetic versus Bang. Bang doesn't give a fuck about Amane's offense. Guard points don't even take chip in this game. Bang doesn't care at all about what this character is doing on offense. And then Bang's offense is like he just shits on him. There's a case for this matchup being right here, but I'll just hold it for here because America doesn't have like the super crazy Amanes that are in Japan, so I'll hold off on making a super concrete statement on that matchup for the current moment. Let me refill my water again real quick. Alright, I'm back. Who's next? Carl. This matchup fucking sucks. It's like either 4-6 or 3.5, 6.5. One of the two. I'll put it here just because it looks nicer on my tier list. I don't have that empty slot. So what is there to say about this matchup? Doll existing kind of just negates Nail's effectiveness by a lot. Let me do this. I think that's better. More agreeable for everyone. It definitely could be 3.5, 6.5. I think this matchup sucks, but there's there's a way to beat this character to a degree. But yeah, Doll existing as it does in neutral, pretty rough for Bang to deal with. He is good at hitting the Doll, and he is good at like jumping in at the Doll and contesting Doll and neutral spacings, but he's not great at enforcing just how he likes to enforce his will on the neutral by just chucking nails and like getting a fuck ton of space. Literally just trading his resource for space gain. You can't do that versus Carl because of how the Doll just exists in the neutral game. Nails are overall really weak versus this character, so you have to play button for button a lot, which like Carl's movement, he doesn't have the most free form movement ever, but his buttons are better than yours. So it's like, can Carl always abuse the fact that his buttons are better than yours amazingly? No. But in the situations where you're interacting with him, it is very scary. There are also situations where he will just jump scare you, like he'll do fucking dash TK Allegretto. He'll do like the fucking super jump like barrier, or like the air dash barrier boost shit. Just fucking fly in from Narnia across the screen and press a jumping button. He'll do shit like the dashing super jump, where he like super jumps on the first couple frames of his dash and gets crazy forward air momentum. He'll just fly into you and mash J or JB and it'll smoke whatever the fuck you're pressing. A lot of situations like that will happen, and it's like, if this was a character that didn't have the best offense in the entire video game, that wouldn't be the end of the world. But he can test Bang in the neutral game way too well, to the point that I'd even say that Carl has favor in the neutral to some degree. And because of that fact, it's like, it's really fucking rough, because as far as risk reward goes in terms of purely damage, yes, Bang does outdamage Carl. Yes, Carl does have Pixie HP. Yes, if Bang gets like 2 godlike neutral hits, Carl will lose the game and die. This is all true. But Carl's offense is so much better than Bang's to such an absurd degree that just doesn't fucking matter. It's like, if Bang gets in, maybe he opens him up a couple times and maybe he can win the round, but it's almost a guarantee that Carl's going to get 50 meter before you can open him up, and at that point you either just have to back off to neutral and hope that you can weather the storm and survive before you run out of nails and just get steamrolled and have no way to defend yourself, or you sit there and you try to hard bait the fuck out of counter assault and just pray to God that you're not wrong, or else you're getting side swapped into the corner, and from there you're losing the game. As far as his offense goes, his offense is just too good. His offense is what dictates this matchup being so skewed in his favor. Bang drives can't contest his offense at all. Bang really can't use his drives and his guard points to fight against Carl's offense like at all. You have to be like, compared to how easily, not even easily, because you have to hard call a lot of the shit that characters do to use drives as this character, but as Carl, it's legit like, you have to call out, you have to IB all of his jabs and call out when he presses the B normal, and maybe, just maybe, you can sideswap him and take your turn, but more often than not, you're just going to get punished for doing shit like that. He has very minimal gaps in his strings, and it's very easy for him to bait drives and just make you explode, and then keep his turn after, regardless of whether you bite or not. And then of course, once his offense actually starts and he's mixing you up, just spamming 50-50s on top of your head over and over and over and over and over. As soon as he gets a hit, he's getting like his entire doll meter back, because his resource cycle is fucked. Or, if he has high resources, he's just gonna take that hit and then unblockable loop you until you're dead, or until you have like 30% health left, or whatever else, or force you to burst, or just fucking whatever. He's really good at baiting defensive options. Like, if you have 50 meter, it is extremely easy for him to just play super fucking safe and bait the fuck out of your super and counter assault like 5 times in a row for pretty minimal doll costs. And you're still like, the issue with not biting on that is you're literally guessing on 50-50 on, is he going to bait my reversal, or is he gonna mix me up? So you're still guessing on whatever mix up he's going for. And it's really, really cheap for him to force that guess on top of you. His offense is super, super tight versus overdrive, so he doesn't really care about OD that much. Which is rough for Bang, because Bang's one of Bang's big selling points. So I got the super cool robbery OD. I can get my one chance, and I can just nuke you and rob the game from you, but you don't really get that chance versus Carl. At least not often at all. Yeah, I feel like that sums things up pretty well. It really is just the fact that his offense is so fucked up that all the risk reward just shoots super in his favor in every interaction, because it's like, it's cool if you hit Carl and you do 50% of his life bar. It's definitely really nice. Like, don't get me wrong. Feels good. But that doesn't matter as much as him making you block, like, a jab in neutral and him getting in. It's just not as impactful to the course of the game, which it just makes everything really fucked up. Makes things very difficult. But yeah, I won't talk too much more about that one. Pretty much ends there. As far as Tao goes, Tao isn't great in this version, but I do think that she does pretty decent versus Bang. I think her movement is really, it's the same shit as Valk, where it's like her being faster than Bang makes her movement really annoying to check. Also, her pressure structure, her mix-up isn't scary, but it's really hard for Bang to deal with her offense just because he can't anti-air her. Tao is like, let me pull something up. The fuck is Tao Kaka? There we go. I don't want the hitbox overlay on anymore. Oh, let me swap over to C, and I forgot. Oops. What's the button? That's what it is. Oh my god, I don't remember how to play this character. I'll just do this. This happens so often. You have no idea. If you're really, really early with your shit, you can catch her, but it's like, you're gonna get caught very often in this matchup. Teleport won't save you. So you can't really anti-air this character, like ever. You can't even attempt to press 2D. She's just too good at catching 2D attempts. Another really annoying part of this matchup is just how much air stall she has, and how good she is at dodging nails because of all her air movement. Her crawl is really good versus Bang's pressure. She can crawl everything except for 2A. She can crawl everything except for like this button, and his slide. Everything else gets crawled. Literally everything else. She just has a lot going for her. But I still don't think it's enough to like really save her too much, because she just doesn't have the risk reward to box him in this version. So I think overall it's still like, I think it's probably slight Bang favor. But she does have a lot of really good tools versus him. This matchup is like, the way I describe this matchup is every interaction feels like shit. But you only have to hit her one time, or like 2 times. She just loses. And her pressure is like, it would be different if she had really fucked up like fuzzy loops and stuff. Even if with her damage being low. If she had the fucked up, if she was like old Tao, she's like crazy fuzzy loops and shit and crazy damage, this matchup would be terrible. But she doesn't have the crazy fuzzy loops, and she doesn't have crazy damage. So it's like, Does every interaction feel bad? Yeah, but if she gets in, who cares? You just block her out and win. If she fucking hits you in neutral, you're eating 2k. Who cares, really? And once you get in, like, is Crawl annoying? Yeah. But if she guesses wrong on Crawl once, guess what? You win immediately. She just eats her entire health bar, just gone. Same for, like... Even though Crawl is good, the fact that your primary pressure reset and your 2-way catches it makes it so that it's still kind of tricky for her to leverage it versus you super well. What's the next one? Naoto. Bang also beats this character pretty solidly. Or not like super solidly, but this is another one of those Shoto matchups where Naoto's buttons are bad, and his dash normals or his dash specials just aren't good enough to make up for the fact that Bang kind of shits on him in neutral. Neutral game is rough. And in terms of offensive defensive risk reward, it's like Bang favored just because of the fact that Naoto struggles to open you up, whereas Bang can't open you up. Does Naoto have crazy options on defense? Yes. They're better than Bang's, no doubt about it. But Bang drives are pretty good versus Naoto staggers, and it's hard for Naoto to open you up even if you have no defensive options at all. In terms of just like straight up damage, how much damage is each character doing to each other? How much health do they have? They're pretty similar, but being even there, losing neutral hard, and still being like slightly disfavored in the offensive defensive, like how much your offense matters versus how much your defense matters, it still kind of shakes up to being a little out of Naoto's hands. Not a ton to say here either. Excuse me. Characters just poop. He just sucks. His offense is solid, I'll give him that, but like neutral, shit on. Defense, he doesn't have defense. I mean, his reversal super is good, but like, it's not enough. His offense is solid, but his offense isn't good enough to make up for the fact that Bang's offense is better, especially with how little tools he has on defense to contest Bang's pressure. His OD robbery is cool. Bang's OD robbery is better. Yeah, not a whole lot to say there. Arcune, it's like one of these two. This matchup is pretty fucking obnoxious. I would say I'll put it here actually. Rename that category that. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. But I could put it here. I could put either of these two. So Bang is like surprisingly decent at catching this air character in a lot of his air movement patterns. And if Bang gets in versus Arcune, Arcune has a really rough time just because his defensive options are kind of lacking. And Bang has the health to live a curse. You know what? I'm gonna put it here. Bang has the health to live a curse, which is really rough for Arcune. Like 11k characters is kind of up in the air. Are they gonna live a curse, or is he gonna have to curse them 2 times? Characters under 11k, they're always gonna die. Characters at 11.5, it's like he's basically always gonna have to curse them twice, which is a pretty big weakness versus a character who does it strongly in the neutral against him, as Bang does. Arcune is a very one-dimensional character, so if you can tune down the strength of him just being able to hit you once and curse you and win the game, it's always a big factor. And then yeah, Bang isn't like, he's not Carl or Coco or Valk, where it's like if he gets that one hit, he just auto wins the game versus him. He's not like Lychee or Nine or Izanami, where he just fucking dominates the neutral versus his character, but he does pretty well in neutral versus him. He does pretty well in offense versus him. He has pretty high health, makes it so that Curse can't just one-top him. Just shakes up to be about even. There's a case for even putting it here, but I'm not gonna do all that. Definitely not today, at least. Next up, I'll go over Kagura. I think Kagura is slight Bang favor, just because again, it comes down to the same shit where it always comes down to for the normal standard characters. How's the risk reward in terms of like how much their offense and defense matters? Damage. Just like straight up risk reward damage wise, and then neutral. Neutral Kagura gets dumpstered. This neutral is awful for this character. Like, you can't. That neutral is just really bad. There's no two ways to go about it. This neutral is just fucking trash for Kagura. As far as offense goes, I think Kagura's offense is slightly better than Bang's. His defense is also a little bit better than Bang's, just due to the fact that he has a flash kick, but it's kind of like an in-between area, because Bang has a fuck ton of overheads and a ton of ways to steal Kagura's charge, and he also has a good hard knockdown to the corner. So it's like, is Bang's offense worse than Kagura's, and is Bang's defense on paper worse than Kagura's? Yes, but Bang's also really good at being annoying for Kagura in terms of keeping his turn, keeping on denying his ability to check his pressure. Just do 5 billion overheads in a row and just never give him the chance to charge a flash kick. He's just sitting there feeling like he's suffocating. I still think it's like the offense defense is in Kagura's hands a little bit, but it's not by much. And I think Kagura does a little bit more damage than Bang, but again, it's not by much. And Bang also has better OD cash out. So it rounds out to be where it's like, does Kagura have better risk reward in terms of the offense defense, in terms of the damage and the health values and shit? Slightly. But Bang shits on him in neutral. So it's like, if it was only regarding neutral, and neutral is the only thing that mattered, this matchup would be like here, or here. But since you factor in everything else, you gotta rein it back. And Kagura does have a slight favor in a lot of these other other areas of the game. But the neutral is so fucked up for him that, like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter enough. On to the next one. Probably Mai Natsume. Kind of want to order these. I might order these whenever we finish up. In terms of, like, worst to best. So Mai. I think Mai is about even. I used to really dislike this matchup, but it's not that bad. Bang is pretty good at threatening her defensive options. Offense defense is definitely like super Bang favor. Like solidly Bang favor at least. Her strike throw is pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. And her damage is pretty solid, especially off of her like neutral hits. A lot of her hit confirms in neutral do really solid damage. She doesn't do like crazy fuck you damage, but she does really consistent, solid damage, which can be a little annoying. I think overall, Bang still wins the risk reward in both of these aspects by a solid margin, but it's not by a ton. And then I think that as far as neutral goes, Bang does well in neutral versus her, but she still wins the neutral game. He's still disfavored in neutral interactions versus Mai, but it's like not by much. It shakes out to being evenish because I do think that I'll even go as far as to say that it's here. I think it shakes out to being evenish. Say that it shakes out to being evenish, but she definitely has favor in the neutral interactions. Her movement, her ability to just run away, super annoying. Her buttons are really crazy. Her air stall is like really, really goated. Her grounded pokes can be a little annoying to deal with. Her spear charges are really good. Her spear throws are really good. Flip is really annoying to deal with in neutral. She's good at dodging the areas that Bang likes to throw nails and the areas that he likes to contest with nails. She's good at dodging him, running at her and pressing buttons on the ground and then falling and punishing him. She's good at she's good at a lot. And overall, Bang slightly loses neutral, but like I said, offense for him matters more. His turns are more valuable. Hit confirms. He just does more damage than her on average. So it's a little bit of a tricky matchup to play, but you can definitely gap the fact that she does better than you in neutral. Because it's like, The neutral is like 45, 55, something like that, where it's like slightly her favorite. But it's not so bad that you can't just be the better player and just do really well in that neutral still. Still, it's not so much of a bricked neutral state that you can't just like gap the enemy player by a pretty wide margin. And then everything else is just in your favor for sure. So yeah, it's about a 5.5, I'd say. Izayoi. This one is... It's either here, or it's the worst matchup here. The worst, quote-unquote, 5.5. I'm going to leave it here, because I don't think this matchup is, like, actually bad. But I do think this matchup is very tricky. A lot to say about this matchup. So, obviously, the offense... Bang is really good at fighting her while she's in normal mode. This is a matchup where Izayoi has to really, really lock in and play clean in normal mode to get her stocks. And it's really easy for Bang to just run her over and snowball her from the normal mode interactions. This is one of those matchups where Izayoi is going to have to, in a real setting, she's going to have to kind of just round start OD a lot of the time. But at the same time, it's like, that's strong, yeah. But it is also a matchup where where this character can just murder you randomly and you need a burst. So it's like, versus New or something, Izayoi just does that shit for free. She doesn't care. But versus Bang, it's like, on paper she needs to, but in practice, it's like, it's very scary to do that. So she kind of just has to play a matchup that's pretty disadvantaged to start off the start of the round. And then once she gets going, obviously, Gainart's Izayoi is like the best character in the game. So obviously Bang starts to lose a little more when she gets to that point, but even then it's not too fucked. Like, he can contest a lot of the areas she likes to play in the air. Like I said earlier, characters like to jump super high in the air. Rising JC, just kick the shit out of them. God button for contesting that area of the screen. Same for like when it comes to a lot of her neutral skip options in Gainarts, he's really good at contesting them. Like, let me swap the scene real quick. Where is this champion? Izayoi. That's really strong versus her. That's really strong versus her. That's pretty strong versus her trying to skip neutral. That's pretty good. I mean, it's not going to be like that clean as a situation, but just 3-sing under and then being able to jump out is strong. Having so many air actions lets him actually dodge that decently. So she can't just bully him in the neutral skip with the neutral skip like she can a lot of characters, which is a pretty big strength for Bang, I'd say. But yeah, her offense is just like giga fucked. In terms of straight up risk reward, how much do like damage does each character do? Yeah, Bang does a little more, but how much does each character getting in matter? When Izayoi's in, she's in. She's probably winning the game after she gets in once. It's one of those matchups where, like, similarly to Carl, I think the neutral is a lot worse versus Carl, so that makes it a lot more tricky for Bang, because he doesn't have that neutral consistency that he does in this matchup and in most of his matchups, but, like, it's still one of those matchups where any hit is kind of just instant death, because their offense is so fucked. Like, if you're really disgusting and you have really crazy defense, you can, like, mash right on Izayoi, block a couple mix-ups, mash right, get out, pray to God you're correct, etc., etc., but it's very tricky. The fact that just one hit when she's in Gainarts probably means the game ending makes things a little hard for Bang. Especially since like Bang is really strong. This isn't something I've really mentioned, but Bang's neutral is really strong. And he's able to play in a way that's very risk averse if he feels like it, but a lot of his strongest options to just like be belligerent with are a little bit more bruisery, brawlery, like options, I guess. Like doing guard points and shit and just trying to fucking be belligerent and bully your way in. It has some risk attached to it. Whereas that risk is worth it to take in a lot of instances versus a lot of other characters, but like versus the characters with a really crazy offensive structure, where it's like if they lose or if you lose one interaction, you're just getting fucked. It makes those options not very viable, which then makes your neutral like harder to use because you're thinking a lot less about using a lot of your tools. But yeah, I think that sums that up for the most part. A lot of it comes down to her offense just super giga-fucked, but Bang does pretty well everywhere else. And then pre-gain arts, he's having the time of his life versus this character. I think this matchup would be here, or maybe even here, if it wasn't for the fact that all of Izuo's air buttons are just disgustingly broken. Like, if this were Ragna JC, Bang's 2B would win here. Bang can't do shit like this in this matchup. So Izuo is really good. I'm fucking up the timing, but you get the idea here, where it's like you get the picture here. Izuo is really good at forcing you to use like 2D and then shitting on you for it. She's really, really good at doing that. In gain arts, she's good at doing it. In gain art, she's really good at like just being annoying in general in the air. In regular mode, she's good at being annoying in the air. This character's air buttons are all fucking crazy. This is maybe the best JB in the game. This is maybe the best JA in the game. This is maybe the best JC in the game. This is also maybe the best JC in the game. So like this character's air buttons are fucked. It being really hard to contest her in the air makes things a little trickier and neutral than realistically they should be. If her air buttons were all a little bit worse, I think Bang would probably win this matchup, but her air buttons are just a little too fucked to let Bang consistently beat her out in what should be his space of free reign in this matchup. But yeah, I think that pretty much does it as far as my little matchup chart goes. Probably upload this shit to YouTube and call it a day. Thanks everybody for stopping in. Kind of just wanted to get this shit done. I've been wanting to do this again for like months. I made one of these streams and did basically exactly this like 2 years ago, but a lot of my thoughts have changed a lot. I kind of just wanted to document that and get a new, fresh take just out on like YouTube or whatever. We got off Fortnite. W troll. We're getting back on Fortnite. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll probably upload this shit like maybe tonight, if not tonight, at some point this week. I'll keep y'all posted. Peace for now though. Thanks for stopping by, everybody.